In the 3rd year of our marriage, my wife took sleeping pills in the study. By the time I reached the hospital, she had already stopped breathing. Only a suicide note lay spread on the desk, and between the lines she kept naming another man, the fiancé she had lost early. The police came to take statements. I stared at the words in the note. In this life, only him. I married you only because you resemble him by 70%, and surprisingly felt a sense of relief. Fortunately, it wasn't because I hadn't given her enough money, nor because I had forgotten her birthday. While sorting through her belongings, I pulled out an entire drawer full of photographs, all of her with that man. Each had a date written on the back. There wasn't a single one with me. After she died, I never remarried. I stayed to run the company she left behind, and I made it thrive. At 79, I had a sudden heart attack in my office. In the last second before I closed my eyes, I was thinking whether she'd praise me if she knew I'd grown the company. When I opened my eyes again, I was wearing a suit, standing at the entrance of a wedding chapel. The master of ceremonies beside me reminded me, "Sir, it's time to receive the bride." I stare at my own reflection on the carved wooden door of the church. A crisply tailored suit, polished shoes, even the pattern on the tie was identical to the wedding in my memory. The MC's voice still buzzed in my ears, but my mind was filled with the image of Sophia lying in the hospital morgue. Pale, cold, never again looking at me with that detached gaze. In my last life, I came in through this door and brought her home as my wife. 3 years of marriage. I gave her everything money could buy, yet I didn't even keep a single photograph of the two of us. Her drawers were stuffed with pictures of Sebastian, and every line of her suicide note was about that man who died young. For decades after her death, I was foolish enough to try to grow the company, hoping she would praise me just once. "Sir, are you all right?" The master of ceremonies asked again, a hint of puzzlement in his eyes. I snapped back to myself, my fingertips clenched tight. "All right? Hardly. This time, I am no longer the fool kept in the dark. I know clearly that this wedding was a scam from start to finish. Sophia married me only because I resemble Sebastian by about 70%. What she loved was never me, but that dead man. Let's go," I said, my voice a few degrees lower than usual, carrying a chill I hadn't even noticed in myself. At the end of the red carpet, Sophia walked toward me in a pure white wedding dress, arm in arm with her father. She was truly beautiful today, as beautiful as the image I remembered from my past life. But when I saw the fleeting loneliness in her eyes, all I felt was a cold sneer. Lonely? Is she sad about marrying me, this stand-in? Or is she missing her fiancé? When we exchanged rings, her fingertip brushed my hand. The cold touch instantly reminded me of the words in her suicide note. "This life I belong only to him. Marrying you is merely because you resemble him by 70%. In my past life, I didn't pay attention to the cruelty in that sentence. But now, every single word pierces my heart like a needle. I took the ring, and instead of slipping it on as gingerly as I did in the last life, I put it straight onto her ring finger with such force that she frowned. "Ethan," she looked up at me, a hint of puzzlement in her eyes. I tugged at the corner of my mouth, smiling ambiguously. "Nothing, I just think this ring suits you." "Suits you?" This woman who acts with such consummate skill. The wedding ceremony ended, the guests dispersed, and Sophia and I sat in the wedding car, preparing to go to the hotel. The carriage was silent. She stared out the window, lost in thought. I leaned against the seat back, staring at the side of her face. In my previous life, it was at this moment that I told her, "I will treat you well from now on." Thinking about it now, how ridiculous that sentence was. I took the phone out of my pocket, opened the photo album, and there was unmistakably a picture I had specially found this morning, a portrait of Sophia and Sebastian. The two in the photo were smiling brightly. Sebastian had his arm around her waist, his gaze full of adoration. I handed the phone to her, my voice calm and even, "I've seen this photo." Sophia's body suddenly went rigid, and when she turned to look at me, her face had paled several shades. "Where? Where did you find it?" Her voice trembled slightly, her eyes flitting away, unwilling to meet mine. I put my phone away, slipped it back into my pocket, and chuckled softly. Guess. She couldn't guess, nor would she know that I had returned bearing decades of memories. I know all her secrets, know how many things related to Sebastian are hidden in her drawer, know that behind every lonely look of hers, who she is thinking about. Sophia. I called her name, with not an ounce of warmth in my tone. Are you happy about this wedding? She bit her lower lip and was silent for a long time before whispering, Ethan, what exactly do you want to say? What do I want to say? I turned to the side, moved closer to her, and stared into her eyes. I want to say that when you married me, the person you were thinking about all along was Sebastian, right? Her pupils suddenly constricted, her lips moved, but she couldn't utter a single word. Seeing her like this, as if her heart had been pierced, I felt no pleasure at all, only a chill. In my previous life, I was deceived by this very expression for 3 years. I thought she was just slow to warm up. I thought she just hadn't yet stepped out of the shadow of her past. Only now do I know that from beginning to end, I was nothing but a substitute, a tool she used to remember Sebastian. The wedding car slowed to a stop, and the guests at the hotel entrance were already waiting for us. I opened the car door and stepped out first. Sophia followed behind me, her steps a little unsteady. I didn't turn back, nor did I reach out to steady her. Since she doesn't love me, there's no need for me to be kind to her anymore. This marriage, from the moment of my rebirth, should be lived differently. I, Ethan Johnson, will never again be the fool who revolves around her. Sebastian, is it? I want to see how long this man, who is already dead, can hold a place in her heart. The hotel banquet hall was brightly lit, guests clinking glasses and mingling, the atmosphere lively and festive. I held my wine glass, weaving through the crowd with an appropriate smile on my face while my heart was ice cold. Sophia stood beside me, occasionally exchanging a few polite words with guests, but her gaze kept drifting unconsciously toward the doorway, as if she were expecting something. Expecting what? Expecting Sebastian to walk in through the door? How ridiculous. Mr. Johnson, congratulations. You married such a beautiful wife. A partner carrying a wine glass walked over and said with a smile. I raised my glass and clinked it with his, my tone flat. Thank you. Miss Taylor truly has an extraordinary grace. The partner looked at Sophia with a few admiring glances. Mr. Johnson, you are very fortunate. Sophia, forced a smile, said, thank you, then lowered her head and fiddled with the ring on her finger. Seeing her so absent-minded made my anger flare up again. Am I wedding and she's thinking about another man? Does she really consider me invisible? By the way, Mr. Johnson, the partner suddenly said, as if remembering something, I think I just saw Sebastian over by the door. Could he be here for the wedding too? Sebastian? My heart skipped a beat, and I turned to look at the doorway. There was no one there. I looked back at Sophia. Her body went rigid in an instant, her eyes full of urgency, and she instinctively started walking toward the doorway. Seeing her like this, the last of my lingering thoughts vanished. Sure enough, the moment she heard Sebastian's name, she couldn't think of anything else. You must be mistaken. I stopped Sophia, my tone edged with a hint of mockery. Isn't Sebastian already dead? How could he possibly come to my wedding? Our partner froze for a moment, then gave an awkward laugh. Is that so? Maybe I was just seeing things. After all, Sebastian does look a bit like Mr. Johnson. It's understandable to mix them up. Look like? That line again. In my last life, it was precisely because of that remark that I was slow to realize Sophia's true thoughts. Now, hearing it again, it sounded unbearably harsh. Sophia stopped, looking at me with a pale face. Her lips moved as if to speak, but no words came out. I ignored her and kept talking with the partner, deliberately raising my voice. Yeah, some people just like to lump the dead and the living together. But it's understandable. The dead never change, while the living are always changing. My words with an underlying meaning made Sophia's body sway. The partner also sensed something wrong, forced a smile, found an excuse, and left. The banquet hall fell noticeably quieter. The surrounding guests picked up on the awkward atmosphere between us and cast curious glances. "Ethan, what did you mean by what you just said?" Sophia turned to look at me, her eyes full of grievance and anger. "Aggrieved? What right does she have to feel wronged? Angry? On what grounds does she have to be angry?" "This is meaningless." I lifted my glass, took a sip of red wine, and said coldly, "I just think that if someone's heart already belongs to someone else, they shouldn't waste other people's time." "Are you talking about me?" Sophia's voice rose a few tones, her eyes slightly reddening. "Ethan, we only got married today, and you're treating me like this?" Looking at her tearful, pitiable expression, I felt not a shred of pity. In my last life, it was this very act that fooled me into thinking she had suffered some great injustice. Only now did I realize that all her grievances were feigned. "What did I do to you?" I put down my wine glass and stared into her eyes. "I was only reminding you that you are my wife now, not Sebastian's fiancée." "You," Sophia trembled with anger, tears streaming down her cheeks. The guests around us, seeing this, gathered and began to urge and console her in a flurry of voices. "Mr. Johnson, let's talk this out. Today is a joyous day." "Miss Taylor, don't be angry. Mr. Johnson probably just misspoke." Listening to these conciliatory words, I snorted inwardly. Misspoke? I did not misspeak. I deliberately want everyone to know that Sophia has another man in her heart. I want her to expose her true face in front of everyone. A slip of the tongue. I looked at the guest trying to make peace, my tone calm. I did not misspeak. I was merely stating a fact. My wife Sophia has never stopped thinking about her late fiancé Sebastian. She married me only because I look like Sebastian. The moment I spoke, the entire banquet hall fell completely silent. Everyone was stunned and turned to look at Sophia, their eyes full of surprise and curiosity. Sophia's face went pale in an instant, her lips trembling, unable to utter a single word. She wanted to defend herself, but couldn't find any reason. "Because what I say is all the truth." "Ethan, you're too much." Sophia suddenly screamed and turned, running out of the banquet hall. Watching her flee in panic, I did not chase after her. What would I be chasing? In my previous life, I chased her for 3 years and still couldn't win back her heart. This life, I will never do such a stupid thing again. The guests looked at me, their eyes filled with complexity. I paid no mind to their gazes, lifted my glass, and took another sip of red wine. The taste was the same as in my last life, rich and sweet. But my mood is completely different from last life. On this day in my last life, I was full of joy, believing I had married the love of my life. On this day in this life, my heart is as calm as still water. I only want to see how this deception will ultimately end. Sebastian, Sophia, what you owe me. In this life I will take back piece by piece, everything. After the wedding farce ended, I returned to the villa. This was the house I bought for Sophia in my previous life. The decorating style was all chosen to suit her tastes. But looking at all these familiar things now, I could only feel utter irony. I sat on the sofa, waiting for Sophia to come back. After about an hour, I heard the door open. Sophia walked in, her face still streaked with tears, her eyes swollen and red, looking pitiable. If it had been in my previous life, I would have already gone over with concern and pulled her into my arms to comfort her. But now I was just sitting on the sofa, looking at her coldly. "You still know how to come back," I said, my tone devoid of any warmth. Sophia said nothing, changed her shoes, walked to sit opposite on the sofa, head bowed, fingers gripping the hem of her clothes tightly. The living room was silent, only the wall clock ticking. After a long time, Sophia finally spoke in a low voice. "Ethan, why did you say those things in front of everyone today?" "Why?" I chuckled lightly, looking at her. "Because I wanted everyone to know that you, Sophia, married me only treating me as Sebastian's substitute." "I didn't." Sophia suddenly lifted her head, anger and grievance in her eyes. "I admit I used to like Sebastian, but he's dead now. I married you because I want to live a good life with you. Live a good life with you? I echoed her words, my tone full of mockery. Sophia, touch your conscience and tell me, when you married me, had you truly let go of Sebastian? What about those photos of you and Sebastian in your drawer? And those diaries you wrote, full of Sebastian's name? What about them? My words were like sharp knives, stabbing at Sophia. Her face instantly went deathly pale, her eyes filled with panic. How did you know this? Her voice trembled as she looked at me in disbelief. How did I know? Not only did I know this, I also knew that every time she looked at me, what she was thinking about was Sebastian. I also knew that every time she was kind to me, it was because I bore Sebastian's shadow. How I know isn't important, I said, leaning against the sofa, my tone calm. What matters is that these are all facts. Sophia fell silent. She bowed her head, her shoulders trembling slightly, uncertain whether she was crying or afraid. Seeing her like that, I felt not the slightest bit of sympathy. In my past life, I was deceived by that appearance, thinking she just hadn't yet stepped out of the shadow of her past. Only now do I realize she never intended to leave that shadow. She only treated me as a consolation, a tool to remember Sebastian. Sophia. I called her name, my tone serious. Let's get a divorce. Divorce? Sophia jerked her head up, her eyes full of surprise and disbelief. What did you say? Her voice trembled slightly. We just got married today, and you're going to divorce me? Yes, we just got married today, I said, looking at her, my tone flat. But I don't want to continue this charade anymore. I don't want to be your stand-in, and I don't want to watch you have other men on your mind. I didn't treat you as a substitute. Sophia screamed, tears streaming down again. Ethan, believe me, I really want to live a good life with you. I just haven't completely let go of the past yet. Give me a little time, okay? Give her a little time? In the last life, I gave her 3 years, and she still didn't let go of the past. This life, I won't give her any time at all. No, I refused outright, my tone firm. I don't have time to waste with you, and I'm not interested in wasting time with you. This marriage was a mistake from the start. It's over now, and it's not too late. Sophia looked at me, her eyes full of despair and unwillingness to accept it. She knew I was serious this time. She knew she could never deceive me again. Ethan, you can't treat me like this, she choked out. You know our family situation now. If we get divorced, what will people think of our family? My father, your father. I cut her off, my tone edged with ridicule. When you married me, didn't you think about how your father would feel? When you used me as a stand-in, didn't you think about how your father would feel? Now you remember your father. Too late. Sophia's face went even paler. She opened her mouth, but no words came out. She knew I was right. From the very beginning, she only thought of herself, of her Sebastian. She never thought of me, nor of her family. Tomorrow I'll have a lawyer draw up the divorce papers. I stood up and looked at her. You'd better sign them quickly. Don't force me to take legal action. Having said that, I turned and walked upstairs. I didn't turn back, nor did I look at Sophia again. I knew that she must be feeling desperate and unwilling right now. But so what? She deserved all of this. What she owed me in my last life. In this one, I will make her pay back bit by bit, every last thing. Back in the room, I lay on the bed and stared at the ceiling. There wasn't the slightest ripple in my heart. Reborn once, I finally understood that some people, some things, aren't worth your sincere devotion. Sophia, Sebastian, this game had only just begun. I will make sure you know that betraying me and deceiving me will come at a price. The next morning, when I woke up, Sophia was already gone from the villa. There was a note on the table, written in her handwriting. Ethan, I will not divorce you. I will prove to you that I truly want to have a good life with you. I sneered as I looked at the note and casually tossed it into the trash can. Proof? What could she possibly prove? That she still loves Sebastian? I finished washing up, went downstairs to have breakfast, then went to the company. Just as I arrived at the office, the assistant walked in, his expression somewhat grave. Mr. Johnson, there's someone outside looking for you. He says he's your friend. A friend. I frowned. Who is it? He said his name was Sebastian. Sebastian? The pen in my hand fell onto the table instantly, my eyes full of shock. Wasn't Sebastian already dead? Why would he come looking for me? Could it be that my rebirth changed something? Let him in. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to calm down. Whoever this person is, I have to meet him. Soon, a man in a white shirt and jeans walked in. He was tall and handsome, exactly like the photos of Sebastian in my memory. Especially those eyes, deep and captivating. Identical to the Sebastian in Sophia's photos. Mr. Johnson, long time no see, the man said, his voice gentle and tinged with a smile. I stared at him, my eyes full of inquiry. Who are you? I asked, my tone carrying a hint of wariness. I'm Sebastian, Mr. Johnson. How could you not recognize me? The man said with a smile, a trace of puzzlement in his eyes. We've met before at Sophia's birthday party. Sophia's birthday party? In my previous life, I never saw Sebastian at Sophia's birthday party, because by then, Sebastian was already dead. Aren't you already dead? I asked directly, my tone calm. The man's expression changed instantly, his eyes full of surprise and confusion. Mr. Johnson, how can you say that? I'm perfectly fine. How could I be dead? Did someone tell you something? Seeing the surprised look on his face, I felt even more puzzled. Could the memories from my past life be flawed? Or is this person fake, someone Sophia brought to deceive me? No one told me anything, I said in a flat tone. I only heard from Sophia that you died long ago. Sophia said that? The man's expression turned somewhat unpleasant, a hint of hurt in his eyes. Why would she say that? We were fine. Why would she tell you I was dead? Seeing him look so wounded, I snorted inwardly. Quite convincing. If it had been me in my previous life, I would have definitely believed him, thinking Sophia had lied to me. But now, I won't trust anyone anymore. I don't know why she would say that, I said, leaning against the back of the chair and looking at him. But since you're alive now, why didn't you go to Sophia? Why come to me instead? I tried to find her, the man sighed, his tone tinged with helplessness. But she refused to see me and told me not to contact her again. I had no choice but to come to you, Mr. Johnson. I know you married Sophia. I just want to ask if something happened to her. Why is she avoiding me? Avoiding him? If Sophia were really avoiding him, she wouldn't have filled her drawer with photos of him, nor would every word of her suicide note be about him. She's not hurt, I said, my tone cold. She just doesn't want to see you. Why? The man pressed, his eyes showing a hint of desperation. We used to be so close. Why doesn't she want to see me anymore? Is it because of you? Mr. Johnson, did you say something to her to make her avoid me? Seeing him so desperate only made me more certain. This person was an imposter. He was the one Sophia brought in, and the purpose was to make me believe that Sophia married me because Sebastian was dead, not because I was like Sebastian. I didn't say anything to her. I stood up, walked over to him, and stared into his eyes. Sebastian, whether you're real or fake, I need to tell you this. Sophia is my wife now, and you'd better stop bothering her. Otherwise, I won't be polite with you. My tone carried a hint of threat, and my gaze was full of coldness. The man's expression changed instantly. Fear flickered in his eyes as he took a step back. Mr. Johnson, don't be angry. I just wanted to know how Sophia is doing. Nothing else, he hurriedly said, his tone carrying a hint of ingratiation. Seeing him act so cowardly made me feel even more contemptuous. Is this the Sebastian Sophia kept thinking about? How ridiculous. I already told you. She's fine. You can leave. I turned around, returned to my desk, and sat down, my tone cold. The man stood there, hesitated for a long time, then said, Mr. Johnson, I'll be going now. If you see Sophia, could you tell her I miss her? No, I refused outright, without the slightest hesitation. The man's expression grew even darker. He bit his lower lip and turned to leave. Watching his departing back, I sneered inwardly. Sophia, do you think I believe you just because you found someone who looks like Sebastian to deceive me? You seriously underestimate me. In this life, I won't be toyed around by you anymore. I picked up my phone and called a private detective. Help me look up someone named Sebastian. I want all his information, including his family background, work history, and his relationship with Sophia. Okay, Mr. Johnson, I'll start checking right away. After hanging up, I leaned back in the chair, my eyes filled with coldness. Sophia, Sebastian, your trick will soon be exposed by me. I want to see what other moves you have. 3 days later, the private investigator delivered the investigation results to my office. I opened the folder. Inside was a thick stack of documents and several photographs. I first looked over Sebastian's basic information. Sebastian, male, 28 years old, parents died early, graduated from an ordinary university, now works as an employee at a small company, monthly salary $5,000. He and Sophia were high school classmates. He once pursued Sophia, but was rejected by her. After reading this information, I sneered inwardly. It turned out that this Sebastian was not the Sebastian who lived in Sophia's heart. The Sebastian in Sophia's heart was her fiancé, well-off, handsome, and a perfect match for her. But this Sebastian was merely an ordinary man who'd been a high school classmate of hers and happened to look similar. It seemed that this Sebastian was the stand-in Sophia had found. She deliberately found someone who looked like her fiancé to deceive me, to make me think that the Sebastian in her heart was still alive, that she married me because that Sebastian was dead, not because I resembled that Sebastian. She really was a master schemer. I continued looking through the file. There were a few more photos. In the photos, Sophia and this Sebastian were meeting at a cafe, chatting happily. Sophia even handed this Sebastian an envelope that looked like money. There is another photo of this Sebastian buying clothes at a clothing store. The clothes he bought were exactly the same as the ones in the photo with Sophia's fiancé. After looking through these photos, my anger completely flared up. Sophia, you really have gone too far. To deceive me, you would go to such lengths. Not only did you treat me as a substitute, you even found another stand-in to deceive me. Do you think I'm an idiot? I picked up my phone and dialed Sophia's number. The phone rang for a long time before it was answered. Ethan, is something wrong? Sophia's voice held a trace of coldness, with a faint, barely perceptible wariness. Where are you? I asked, my tone calm. I'm out shopping. What's up? Nothing much, I replied evenly. Come back for a bit. I have something I want to show you. What is it? Sophia's voice carried a hint of confusion. You'll know when you get back. I hung up after saying that. I sat on the couch, waiting for Sophia to return. About an hour later, I heard the sound of the door opening. Sophia walked in, carrying several shopping bags, looking in a good mood. You asked me to come back. Do you have something to show me? She came up to me and asked. I pushed the documents and photos on the table toward her, speaking coldly. Look for yourself. Sophia picked up the materials in puzzlement and began to read. When she saw Sebastian's basic information and those photos, her face instantly went pale and the documents in her hand fell to the floor. What's going on? Her voice trembled, her eyes full of panic. What's going on? I sneered, looking at her. Sophia, how long are you going to keep pretending? You found this Sebastian, didn't you? You deliberately found someone who looks like your fiancé to deceive me, to make me think the Sebastian in your heart was still alive, and that you married me because that Sebastian died, not because I look like him. Am I right? Sophia's body wavered. She looked at me, her eyes filled with despair and unwillingness. I didn't. She tried to argue, but her voice grew fainter. Didn't. I picked up the photos on the table and tossed them in front of her. What's the meaning of these photos? You met him, gave him money, even had him buy clothes identical to your fiancé's. Do you dare say you didn't? Sophia looked at the photos on the floor, tears streaming down her cheeks. I just... She choked, unable to form a complete sentence. What do you mean, just? I pressed, my tone laced with sarcasm. Just trying to deceive me? Just wanted me to keep being your stand-in? Sophia, do you think I'm especially stupid, especially easy to fool? No. Ethan, listen to me. Sophia grabbed my hand, her eyes pleading. I just don't want to lose you. I know I was wrong before. I shouldn't have treated you as a substitute. I shouldn't have been thinking about Sebastian. I sought him out only to make you believe that I had let Sebastian go, that I want to live a proper life with you. Want to live a proper life with me? I threw her hand off, my voice cold. Sophia, do you think I would still believe you? You lied to me again and again, treated me like a fool time and time again. Do you think I believe anything you say? Sophia sank to the floor, crying as if her heart were being torn apart. I know I was wrong. Ethan, I really know I was wrong. Will you give me one more chance, please? I will change. I will treat you well. I will never think about Sebastian again. Seeing her like this, I felt not an ounce of sympathy. A chance? I had already given her one chance. In the last life, I gave her 3 years, and she still didn't change. This time, I won't give her any more chances. It's too late, I said, my tone firm. Sophia, let's get a divorce. This time, I won't give you any more chances. After saying that, I turned and walked upstairs. I didn't look back. I didn't glance at Sophia again. I know she must be utterly desperate and in terrible pain right now. So what of it? She deserves this. In the last life, she owed me. In this life, I will make her repay it bit by bit, every last bit. Back in my room, I opened my laptop and began handling work. I knew that only work could make me temporarily forget these unpleasant things. Sophia, Sebastian, this game, I'm definitely going to win. After the divorce agreement was drafted, I called Sophia and asked her to come to the company to sign. But she kept making excuses, saying she wasn't feeling well and would go after she recovered. I knew she didn't want to sign and was trying to stall for time, but I didn't have time to wait her out. I had the lawyer deliver the divorce agreement directly to Taylor's house. Unexpectedly, Sophia's father, Thomas, actually came to the company in person. Thomas is the owner of a small company. He's shrewd and very calculating. In my previous life, I helped the Taylors a lot for Sophia's sake, but Thomas never truly appreciated me. Ethan, what do you mean by this? Thomas walked into my office, tossed the divorce papers onto the desk, his tone angry. You and Sophia have only been married a few days, and you want to divorce her? Do you think the Taylor family is easy to bully? I leaned back against the chair, looked at him, my tone calm. Mr. Taylor, Sophia, and I divorcing is between the two of us. It has nothing to do with the Taylor family. Nothing to do with us? Thomas snorted. You married Sophia and became part of the Taylor family. Now you want to divorce her. What does that leave the Taylor family's face? How do you expect Sophia to live from now on? Face. I gave a light laugh. Mr. Taylor, you're talking to me about face now? When Sophia married me, she treated me like Sebastian's substitute. Why didn't you mention face then? When Sophia hid drawers full of photos of Sebastian, why didn't you mention face? And now that I want a divorce, suddenly you bring up face? Thomas's expression changed instantly, his eyes full of surprise and embarrassment. How did you know this? His voice trembled slightly. How I found out isn't important, I said, my tone cold. What matters is that these are all facts. Mr. Taylor, if you still have any conscience, you should advise Sophia to sign the divorce papers sooner. Otherwise, I'll have to take legal action. Take legal action? Threat flashed in Thomas's eyes. Ethan, don't go too far. If you dare divorce Sophia, I'll expose some things about your company and ruin you. Threaten me? I sneered inwardly. In my last life, it was precisely because I was afraid Thomas would expose the company's affairs that I kept yielding to the Taylors. But now, I'm no longer the person I was in that life. I hold quite a few scandals about the Taylor family in my hands. If things really blew up, who would end up ruined and disgraced wouldn't necessarily be certain. You can go ahead and try, I said, looking at him, my tone calm. Mr. Taylor, do you think I don't know about the dirty dealings at your Taylor family company? Tax evasion, embezzlement, and your collaborations with some unlawful merchants. If I expose these things, how long do you think the Taylors will last? Thomas's face went instantly ashen, his eyes full of panic and disbelief. Why? How did you find out about these? His voice shook. How I found out is none of your concern, I replied, my tone cold. Mr. Taylor, I'm advising you not to push me. Otherwise, things will be bad for everyone. Thomas looked at me, his eyes full of anger and resentment, but he didn't dare say anything more. He knew I wasn't bluffing. If I really exposed those things, the Taylor family would be finished. Fine, you've got guts, Thomas said through gritted teeth. I'll persuade Sophia to sign. But Ethan, remember this. Treating the Taylor family like this, we won't let you off. After he finished speaking, he turned and walked away. Watching his retreating figure, I snorted inwardly. Now let me off. I like to see what tricks your Taylor family has to keep me from getting away. In this life, I will no longer let anyone threaten me. In the afternoon, the lawyer called me and said Sophia had already signed the divorce agreement. Hearing this news, I felt not the slightest ripple in my heart. This was something I had expected. Sophia and Thomas both knew that if they didn't sign, they would only lose even more terribly. Mr. Johnson, regarding the division of assets, shall we proceed according to your wishes? The lawyer asked. According to the agreement, I said, my tone calm. What should be given to her? She will get every cent. What shouldn't be given to her, she won't get. All right, Mr. Johnson. I hung up the phone and leaned back in the chair, staring out the window. Finally, the divorce was finalized. This marriage, which had lasted only a few days, was finally over. The regrets from my previous life were finally made up for in this one. But I didn't feel any pleasure at all, only a calm. Perhaps it's because I stopped caring a long time ago. Sophia, Thomas, Sebastian, your games are finally over. Next, it was my turn. I wouldn't let you leave so easily. What you owe me, I will take back bit by bit, everything. After the divorce was finalized, I thought Sophia and that fake Sebastian would disappear. But unexpectedly, that fake Sebastian came looking for me again. This time, he didn't put on airs like last time. He got straight to the point. Mr. Johnson, I know you've divorced Sophia, the fake Sebastian said, sitting across from me, his tone calm. I'm here today to propose a deal. A deal. I frowned, eyes full of wariness. What kind of deal? I know some secrets about Sophia and the Taylor family, fake Sebastian said, his tone tinged with a bit of smugness. I can tell you these secrets, but you'll have to give me some money. Secrets? I sneered inwardly. What secrets could there be about Sophia and the Taylor family? Still, I wanted to hear what exactly he knew. How much do you want? I asked, my tone even. $500,000, the fake Sebastian said. If you give me $500,000, I'll tell you everything I know. $500,000? That's really asking for the moon. Start by telling me what secrets you know, I said, my tone cold. If it's worth $500,000, I might consider paying you. Fake Sebastian smiled and said, Mr. Johnson, you're as straightforward as ever. Then I'll tell you why Sophia had me pretend to be Sebastian. She had me impersonate Sebastian, not just to fool you into thinking the Sebastian in her heart was still alive, fake Sebastian continued. More importantly, she wanted to make you feel sympathy for her, to make you see her as a pitiable woman so you'd become even more dependent on her. Also, Taylor's company is on the verge of collapse. Thomas asked for your help because he wants you to invest in Taylor, fake Sebastian said. Sophia, marrying you was Thomas's idea. He wanted Sophia to trap you so you'd be used for the Taylor family's purposes. I already knew about these things. Still, I wanted to hear whether he had any other secrets. Is that all? I set my tone flat. These matters are not worth $500,000 at all. Fake Sebastian's expression changed slightly. He hadn't expected that I would already know about these things. And also, I know the Sebastian who truly lives in Sophia's heart didn't actually die. Fake Sebastian hurriedly said, his tone a bit urgent. He just hid away. Sophia has been secretly contacting him the whole time. What? The real Sebastian didn't die? My heart was instantly shocked. In my previous life, I always thought Sebastian had long been dead. Sophia's will also said that he was already dead. But now, this fake Sebastian actually says he isn't dead? What on earth is going on? Is what you're saying true? I asked, my tone edged with urgency. What evidence do you have? Of course I have evidence, the fake Sebastian said with a smug smile. I've seen Sophia meet that real Sebastian, and I even took photos. Give me $500,000 and I'll give you the pictures. A photo? If there really is a photo, then it could prove that the real Sebastian didn't die. It could also prove that Sophia has been lying to me all along. All right, I'll give you $500,000, I said, my tone firm. But you have to show me the photo first. If the photo is real, I'll give you the money immediately. Fake Sebastian hesitated for a moment, then took his phone out of his pocket, opened the photo album, and handed it to me. I took the phone and opened the photos. In the picture, Sophia and a man were standing at the entrance of a hotel. The man had his arm around Sophia's waist, and the two of them were laughing happily. That man was exactly identical to the Sebastian in the photo from Sophia's drawer. It seems this fake Sebastian was telling the truth. The real Sebastian never died. He had been avoiding me and secretly keeping in touch with Sophia. Sophia married me, not only treating me as a stand-in, but to help the Taylor family trap me, all while secretly meeting with that real Sebastian. This is outrageous. The anger inside me flared instantly. The hand holding my phone was trembling. All right, the photos are real. I took a deep breath, forcing myself to calm down. I'll have my assistant transfer the money to you. But you have to tell me what else you know. I also know that the reason the real Sebastian went into hiding is because he owed a huge gambling debt, the fake Sebastian said. Sophia has been helping him pay it off, using your money. Use my money to help that real Sebastian pay his debts? The anger inside me flared even more. In my previous life, I gave Sophia so much money, and it turned out she used it all to help that man pay his debts. I was so stupid. Anything else? I asked, my tone cold. That's all. I've told you everything I know, the fake Sebastian said. Mr. Johnson, you should pay me now. I'll have my assistant transfer it to you, I said flatly. You may go. The fake Sebastian smiled, stood up, and said, Thank you, Mr. Johnson. If you ever need anything else, feel free to call on me. After speaking, he turned and left. Watching his departing back, my heart was filled with anger and unwillingness. Sophia, Sebastian, you two are truly unbearable. You not only deceived my feelings, but you also stole my money. In this life, I won't let you go unpunished again. I will make you pay. I picked up my phone and called a private detective. Help me find out where the Sebastian who truly matters to Sophia is now, and how much gambling debt he still owes. All right, Mr. Johnson, I'll look into it right away. After hanging up, I leaned back in the chair, my gaze filled with coldness. Sophia, Sebastian, your good days are over. The private detective was very efficient. In just 2 days, he found the whereabouts of the real Sebastian. He was hiding in a rundown rented room, spending his days skulking around outside and still gambling. I had the detective send me the address, then drove there myself. The rented room was in an old housing complex with poor surroundings, strewn everywhere with trash and clutter. I went to the address and found that rented room. The door wasn't shut properly. It was left ajar. I pushed the door open and walked in. The room was a mess. Bottles and cigarette butts scattered across the floor, and a few gambling tiles lay on the table. Sebastian was lying on the sofa, holding a bottle, completely drunk. His hair was a mess, his face stubbled, hardly the same handsome man from the photos. It seemed he hadn't had a good few years. Who is it? Sebastian heard the noise, looked up, squinting at me, his voice muffled. I said nothing, walked up to him, and stared. Who are you? Do you need something from me? Sebastian shook his head, trying hard to clear his mind. I'm Ethan Johnson, I said, my tone icy, Sophia's ex-husband. When Sebastian heard my name, his body went rigid instantly. He suddenly sat up, his eyes full of shock and panic. How did you find this place? His voice trembled slightly as he instinctively took a step back. How I found this place is none of your business, I said calmly. I came today to ask you, why did you hide? Why did you let Sophia deceive me? Sebastian lowered his head, unable to look at me. I didn't make her deceive you, he said softly. She chose to do that herself. She did that of her own accord. I sneered. Sebastian, do you think I will believe what you say? Why would Sophia help you pay your debts? Why secretly contact you? Do you think any of that was voluntary on her part? Sebastian swayed. He lifted his head, his eyes full of helplessness and pain. I know, I wronged Sophia, and I wronged you, he said, his tone carrying some guilt. I racked up a huge gambling debt. Those people were on my back. I had no way out. I had to hide. Sophia is a good girl. She couldn't bear to see me ruined, so she helped pay my debts, and she married you to help me through the hard times. Help you through the hard times? I repeated his words, my voice dripping with scorn. So you too treated me like a fool? Used me as a tool to make money. I know what we're doing is wrong, Sebastian lowered his head and said, but I really have no choice. Mr. Johnson, I beg you, please let us go. I won't gamble again. I'll work hard and pay back all the money I owe you. Let you go? I sneered inwardly. Last life, you cheated me so badly. This life, how could I possibly let you off? Let you go I can, I spoke, my tone calm, but you will have to pay the price. What price? Sebastian looked up, his eyes full of caution. Go tell Sophia to repay, with her own money, all the gambling debts she used mine to pay, I said, my tone firm. And tell everyone that you never died, that you've been hiding from me, and that Sophia married me only to help you pay off your debts, using me as a substitute. Sebastian's face went ashen in an instant. He looked at me, his eyes filled with despair. I can't do that, he said, his voice pleading. If I do that, Sophia will be finished. Mr. Johnson, please have mercy on us. Let us off this once. Feel sorry for you? I chuckled lightly. When you cheated me back then, why didn't you think of feeling sorry for me? Sebastian, you don't have a choice. Either you do what I say, or I'll expose your gambling debts and let those people come after you. Then you'll not only have to repay your debts, you'll also face legal punishment. Sebastian's body trembled even more. He knew I wasn't bluffing. If those loan sharks found him, he certainly wouldn't end up well. Fine, I agree. Sebastian gritted his teeth and said, I'll do as you say, but you must promise that after I finish these things, you won't cause us any more trouble. I can promise, I said, my tone calm. As long as you do exactly as I say, I won't bother you anymore. Sebastian nodded, his eyes full of despair and unwillingness to accept it. He knew that he was destroying himself and Sophia. But he had no choice. This was the only thing he could do. When are you going to tell Sophia? I asked. I'll go tomorrow, Sebastian said. I'll make it clear to her. Fine, I said evenly. I'll wait for your news. If you dare play games, I won't let you off. With that, I turned and walked away. Watching my departing back, Sebastian sat on the sofa, hands clutching his head, crying out in pain. He knew that the good days between him and Sophia were over for good. As for me, I sat in the car, staring out the window. Not a shred of sympathy in my heart. They all deserve this. What they owed me in my last life, in this life I will finally take back, bit by bit, everything. Sophia, Sebastian, just wait. Your nightmare is only just beginning. The next day, Sebastian did as I had said. He first went to find Sophia and told her that he was going to reveal the truth. When Sophia heard the news, she completely fell apart. She cried and begged Sebastian not to do it, but Sebastian remained resolute. He knew that if he didn't do as I said, he would only lose even more miserably. With no other choice, Sophia could only agree. Then Sebastian went to Taylor's house and told Thomas about it. When Thomas heard it, he trembled with fury. He wanted to stop Sebastian, but Sebastian wouldn't listen at all. In the end, Sebastian, in the Taylor family living room, in front of Sophia and Thomas, called everyone who knew them and told them the truth. He said he had never died, that he had been hiding from me the whole time because he owed a huge gambling debt. He said Sophia married me only to help him pay off his debts, treating me as a substitute. He also said Thomas deliberately had Sophia trap me to take my money in order to revive the Taylor company. After the call ended, the entire Taylor household fell into silence. Sophia sat on the floor, crying her heart out. Thomas's face turned ashen with fury. He couldn't utter a single word. They knew the matter had been completely exposed. Their reputations, their company, were finished. Soon, the matter spread throughout the entire circle. Everyone knew about Sophia and Sebastian's scam, knew about Thomas's scheming. People pointed fingers at them and whispered, full of gossip. Taylor's family's company was also affected. Partners canceled their contracts one after another, and clients were all lost. Thomas was at his wits' end, busy every day dealing with the company's messes, but to no avail. Sophia didn't dare go out either and could only hide at home. She feared people's gossip and their stares. And I, sitting in the office, listening to my assistant's report, felt not the slightest ripple in my heart. They all deserve this. Mr. Johnson, Taylor Company can barely hold on now. Thomas has been borrowing money everywhere, but no one's willing to lend to them, my assistant said. And Sophia, I heard she's in a very poor mental state now, crying at home every day. Understood, I said, my tone even. Keep watching them and report any developments promptly. All right, Mr. Johnson. After the assistant left, I leaned back in my chair and looked out the window. Finally, it was all over. The regrets from my last life were finally made up for in this one. The hatred from my past life has finally been avenged in this one. Sophia, Sebastian, Thomas. What you owe me, I have taken back in full. From now on, you will never affect me again. My life can finally start over. In the afternoon, I received a call from an unknown number. On the other end of the line was Sophia's voice. Ethan, I know I was wrong. I really know I was wrong. Sophia's voice was hoarse and pleading. Can you give me another chance? I will definitely change. I will definitely be a better person. Opportunity? I chuckled softly. Sophia, do you think I would give you another chance? You lied to me again and again, hurt me again and again. Do you think I would believe anything you say now? I know I did a lot of wrong before, Sophia said, choking back tears, but I really regret it. I really want to start over. Ethan, have pity on me. Please let me go. Pity you? I spoke, my tone icy. When you lied to me back then, why didn't you think of pitying me? When you treated me like a substitute, why didn't you think of pitying me? Sophia, it's far too late for you to say these things now. After I hung up, I ended the call. I didn't want any ties with her anymore. Her life or death had nothing to do with me. In the evening, I received a call from the detective saying that Taylor Company had officially declared bankruptcy, and Thomas had been taken away by the police for embezzlement and tax evasion. Sophia couldn't bear the shock, went mentally unwell, and was sent to a psychiatric hospital. Sebastian, having racked up too many gambling debts, had his leg broken by loan sharks and is now nowhere to be found. Hearing this news, I felt no joy at all, only a calmness. This is their fate. This is the price they pay for deceiving and hurting me. From now on, I will never think of them again. My life will only get better. The Taylor family went bankrupt, Thomas was arrested, Sophia lost her mind, and Sebastian's whereabouts are unknown. This matter caused an uproar in the circle. Everyone was talking about it. Some say I'm ruthless, others say I did the right thing. But I didn't care what others said. All I knew was that I had finally freed myself from those unpleasant people and things. My life could finally begin again. I sold the villa and moved to a new place. This place is very quiet, and the environment is also nice. I don't want to see anything related to Sophia anymore, nor do I want to recall those unpleasant memories. The company's matters have also been mostly dealt with. Because of the Taylor family's affairs, the company was affected for a time, but quickly returned to normal. I put more of my energy into work, and the company's performance kept getting better and better. In my free time, I would go to the gym, travel, and do the things I enjoy. I no longer poured all my energy into other people like I used to. I began to learn to love myself and to enjoy life. Sometimes, I think about the things from my previous life. I remember how foolish and ridiculous I was in that last life. For a woman who didn't love me, I gave so much, and in the end I was doomed to grow old and die alone. Fortunately, I was reborn. In this life, I didn't make the same mistake again. I protected myself and made those who hurt me pay the price. Days passed one by one. I grew happier and more fulfilled. I met many new friends. They were all sincere and kind. I also met a very nice girl. Her name is Grace, and she is a doctor at a hospital. She is gentle, kind, and cheerful. Completely different from Sophia. She isn't after my money or my status. She simply likes me for who I am. When I was with her, I was happy and at ease. I no longer had to pretend to be someone else, nor worry about being deceived. I knew she was the person I had been searching for. After we had been together for a while, I proposed to her. Grace agreed. Our wedding was simple. We didn't invite many people, just family from both sides and a few close friends. At the wedding, Grace wore a pure white wedding dress and smiled happily. Looking at her smile, my heart was filled with happiness. This is the marriage I wanted. This is the life I wanted. The days after marriage were simple, yet very happy. Grace was considerate and took good care of me. We would cook together, watch movies together, and travel together. We would share each other's joys and sorrows, support one another, and encourage one another. I finally understand that true love is like this. It is not one-sided giving, but mutual understanding, mutual tolerance, and mutual cherishing. Sometimes I wonder, if in my past life I hadn't met Sophia, would I have met a girl like Grace sooner, and would I have started living such a happy life earlier? But I don't regret it. Because of what I went through in my previous life, I learned to grow, to love, and to protect myself. And because of those experiences, I cherish my current life even more and value the people around me all the more. There are no ifs in life, only outcomes and consequences. What's past is past. What matters are the present and the future. I will cherish my life now, love Grace well, and take good care of our marriage. I believe our future will surely get better and better. Sophia, Sebastian, Thomas, your names will be forever buried in my memory. There will never be any trace of you in my life again. A new beginning, a new life. I'm looking forward to it.